What's going on, everyone? So, we got news that Brandon Ingram is expected to sign with Klutch Sports. Now, he has to wait the 15-day kind of waiting period in between, which puts you around December 15th, which is when, many believe that the Lakers will finally start getting some trades done. A lot of guys become available for trade, even some of the Lakers guys like Max Christie, and then also you have like Jonas Valanciunas, right? So, with Brandon Ingram signing with Klutch, guess what that means? There is going to be, and there already is starting to be, a lot of just rumors and speculation of, does this mean Brandon Ingram is headed to the Lakers, right? The New Orleans Pelicans have desperately tried to find trades for Brandon Ingram. Supposedly, based on reports that have came out, they were working out a deal with the Utah Jazz, but Brandon Ingram shut it down because he has no intentions of re-signing with the Utah Jazz. So that ended up getting lost in translation. But Brandon Ingram, even his team, has looked to go find a trade for Brandon Ingram, and no one's biting, right? Couple reasons, right? Brandon Ingram isn't a bad player by any stretch of the imagination, but couple things. One, he wants $40 million a year. With the new CBA, I do not see him getting $40+ million from anybody, right? Now, if this was prior to the CBA, yeah, he probably, I'm pretty confident he would have gotten $40+ million. Some team would have overpaid for him just to have him because he's, star level talent, right? All-star level talent. But now with the new CBA, Brandon Ingram isn't your best player, probably not even your second best player. As your third best player, the dude's elite, right? Like, he's a guy that can, on any given night, be your second best player. Some nights when he's cooking and really going, could be your best player, right? Good size, good length, can slot in essentially 2 through 4 for you if you needed to, right? He can initiate the offense, he can run plays, right? He can make plays. He's not a playmaker, but he can make plays, right? Go get you 20 to 25 a night, grab a couple boards, right? Like, he is a guy that makes a lot of sense on a lot of teams. But one, where does Brandon Ingram really want to go? Right, does obviously with the Utah news means he doesn't want to go to a bad team. He wants to go to a good team, try to contend and win for championships. And then, what of those good teams are willing to bring him on? Which of those good teams would be willing to trade for him? Because most of those teams don't have the money to sign him, even at like, a $20 million price range. Now, could you get a team to kind of maybe in the offseason do what Klay Thompson as well as DeMar DeRozan did, right? Where they worked out a sign and trade deal with a team that maybe is a little desperate. But again, I don't see Brandon Ingram getting $40+ million. I think he's probably in that like 25 million range. Maybe a team would get him to 30 million, but I would be very surprised if he got more than like 30 million a year. I mean, there are some bad teams and there are some teams that make bad decisions, right? So it's very possible that somebody gives Brandon Ingram some insane money, but also what does Brandon Ingram want? Right? Is he just like, hey, I want the absolute bag? Because if that's the case, then you should have went to Utah because Utah has the money to just re-sign you, right? But if he's like, no, I want to contend, I want to try to win a championship, well, then you're probably only getting 20 to 25 million, somewhere in that range, which means the Lakers do make some sense, right? Gives you a legit 3-and-D wing out on the perimeter. His three-point shooting has improved. He's a guy that can defend multiple positions. Again, play multiple positions. You could slot him 2 through 5 on any given night, or 2 through 4 on any given night. Not the 5, 2 through 4 on any given night, right? He makes a lot of sense alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, especially with LeBron kind of playing more of that magic role. Right, he's really stepped into like kind of being the facilitator, kind of plugging in and getting his points in bursts rather than like, hey, let me just go and take over the game. Right, so you get a guy in a Brandon Ingram who can help close down the stretch, who can hit big shots down the stretch, who go get you, 20 to 25 every night, but provide that level of consistency. Right, something I've talked about. Right, Austin Reeves, I like him. I think he's a great role player. He's not a third option. But if you were to get a guy like a Brandon Ingram, well, now Austin Reeves isn't your third option, right? You plug in Ingram, now Reeves is your fourth option, connects your fifth option, right? So you could go with a lineup for now of like Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I still think that the Lakers could use some other pieces, right? I would like to see if the Lakers were to go and trade for Brandon Ingram, still maybe go look at the Nets, try to go get a Dorian Finney-Smith as well as a a Day'Ron Sharp, so that way you have something backup center, you have something in that regard. Maybe they take a bigger swing. Do they maybe go after a Nikola Vucevic, right, and kind of pair him and just kind of go all in? But then defensively, there's questions there. Like Brandon Ingram's a good defender, but he's not like elite or great or anything like that. He's not like like Jared Vanderbilt. Like if you could take Jared Vanderbilt's defense and give it to Brandon Ingram, then yes, the Lakers are probably ridiculous at that point. But I do think Brandon Ingram, again, like I've talked about, like with Zach LaVine. I know a lot of people are like, oh, here we go, Zach LaVine again. But it's about the ceiling raise, right? Like you look at individual players, right? Like if you were to do a singular trade, which trade makes the most sense to raise the ceiling the highest to give the Lakers a chance at a championship? I believe Zach LaVine is one of those guys. Brandon Ingram, I think, is one of those guys. However, I worry about Brandon Ingram's fit more than Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine's more of a plug and play, but Brandon Ingram's cheaper now to trade for. He's also probably going to be cheaper long term because, again, I don't see him getting 40+ million. Brandon Ingram right now is making 36 and some change. Let's just call it 37 because you got to remember the Lakers have to send out more salary than they take back because they're a first apron team, and they're $35K from the second apron. So you look at the Lakers, right? I think you do something like D'Lo and Rui maybe. Maybe they'd be interested in that because D'Lo's an expiring contract, so they're not taking on a bunch of salary, plus him in like a backup because he's shown the ability to play the backup role, do something like that. There's $35.6 million. You add in, a vet minimum guy. You could add in, probably keep Cam Reddish, and I like Wood, so maybe Hayes, right? Especially if you can go get a backup center, right? Then you could do that, or you could clear $1 million off and then, or one and some change, the 1.6, and then go bring in Koloko to a normal contract. Like, I think that could be something that potentially works. That way you have, like, Koloko as your third big, right? Because, again, I think that the Lakers should go get another guy, right? Another, Day'Ron Sharp, Nick Richards, something like that. So let's say, just for argument's sake, right? Let's say it's D'Lo, Rui, and then Jackson Hayes. Right, so now you have a 3-for-1 swap. You're going to need to at least get one guy for the roster because you're sending 3 out. That'd give you 12. Add an Ingram, that'd give you 13. You have to have at least 14 guys, but you have some time. I think you get like 2 weeks to do that. So Lakers could try to go make some other pushes. Like I said, it'll be around December 15th, so other guys will be available. Maybe they do still go look and go get a Valanciunas, right? He's making $10 million. I mean, you could do Gabe Vincent in a couple seconds, and boom, there's Valanciunas, right? And then you'd still have Jared Vanderbilt's money, Max Christie's money if you needed to, Jalen Hood-Schifino and his 3.3, right? So you could still get to another like $25 million in tradable salaries, give or take, if you were to get like a Valanciunas plus a Brandon Ingram. The other reason I like Brandon Ingram is because he is an expiring contract. So it gives you two things. One, if it works, great. Now you can look to re-sign him to a new deal, right? Like I said, maybe 4 years for $100 million, somewhere in that ballpark, or maybe 4 years, like $110 million, something like that. So like he gets like $27 million, a couple years later on, right? If it doesn't work, you can just let him walk, and you cleared basically Rui, D'Lo's money, which was already going to fall off, but you basically clear, 37 million off the books, plus, the vet minimums, plus LeBron James can clear whatever he needs. He was willing to take like 20 million less for like Klay Thompson and DeMar DeRozan and Valanciunas, right? So you may be able to free up enough money to go get another player, or maybe go fill out the roster better, because this free agency, although with the new CBA, guys can re-sign earlier before free agency, but this does look like it's shaping up to be a better free agency market. Even a guy like Kyrie could be available, right? And maybe the Lakers are like, hey, Brandon Ingram wasn't great. Let's let him walk. LeBron could take, 20 million less, and you go sign Kyrie for like 25 million a year or something like that, right? Like maybe you'd work something like that out just to kind of give you an idea. But I think it's kind of a win-win for the Lakers. Now, if he goes to the Lakers and he's like, I want 40 million, I think if you're the Lakers, you say absolutely not, right? Like, if you think you're going to get 40 million and have the opportunity to contend, then good luck to you, right? If you can find a team that's willing to pay you 40 million, then good luck. I just don't think a team is going to do that. Maybe a team would do it just to get him off the Lakers, but at that point, again, like, Lakers have a bunch of cap space, or can create a bunch of cap space to then go and sign and do several things, right? Use their full mid-level exception and do a bunch of stuff, right? So, like, I think it is a win-win for the Lakers if you go and get Brandon Ingram. It's why I've talked about Brandon Ingram in the past. I like Brandon Ingram as a player. Obviously, health concerns, but everybody that's available, right, have health concerns. Even like Cam Johnson, like the most games he's ever played in a season, I think is like 66 off the top of my head, right? Like you kind of go down the list. Even Jeremy Grant, Zach LaVine is somebody that they bring up, but like you look at the previous years, not last year, but previous years, like 77 games, 67 games, right? Go down the list. All these guys have injury concerns, right? To me, it's about like, can Brandon Ingram slot in and fit, right? In this style of offense, and him as a guy that can help close down the stretch, hit big shots, kind of trickle in and take over games. You know, when he's having those nights where he's just going off, it's like, hey, give it to the hot hand and just step out the way, right? And then even after, especially if you can get him for like 4 years, $100 million, right? Well, then now at least when LeBron retires, you have Ingram along with Anthony Davis, you know, a Dalton Connect. You might be able to entice another star to go, hey, you know what? Like, man, me, Dalton Connect, Brandon Ingram, Anthony Davis, and then you know, whatever else they end up having at that point, right? It's like we might be able to keep this train going. We might be able to keep winning championships here. And I also think a trio of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Brandon Ingram could really do some damage, really could make some noise. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think of Brandon Ingram to the Lakers, for one? Two, what do you think of him signing with Klutch? Do you think that that's a sign that he's going to be a Laker? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. If you enjoy these types of videos, I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.